Thanks for joining us today for ezChats. I'm Michelle. I'm part of the ezCater team. We're really excited to have you here today and kind of learn about growing your off-premises strategy. We have a great panel set up. This is Kate, who's also on the ezCater team, part of our caterer partnerships team, so she's kind of the brain behind a lot of the stuff that we do. So I'll pass it over to Kate and enjoy the panel.
Hello, San Jose, and welcome to ezChats. We have our team here from Boston, just escaped a blizzard, so when I say it's a pleasure to be here, I mean it is seriously a pleasure. Anyway, I am Kate Valio. I have been with ezCater for about 2 years now, started with caterer partnership sales, and I'm now working in business development. It is a true pleasure to be here. Thank you to our panel for being here, and thank you to all of you for showing up, for participating, and for your partnership. That being said, I'd love to go ahead and introduce our panel. Guys, if you could go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you're from, and your history in the restaurant industry. Start with you, Jerome.
Hi, my name's Jerome Dees. I'm currently the Senior Director of Sales and Operations with Boulanger, which is a fancy way of saying I support our catering team, which is our call center, our sales managers, and all of our wonderful drivers. Grew up in Oakland, California, was with Noah's Bagels for 8 years prior to my role here, and I've been with Boulanger for 4 years now.
Hi, my name is Rich Garcia. I work out of Palo Alto, California SliderBar, and we've been doing sliders for the the big tech companies now for about 3 years, and we're going strong, selling literally thousands of sliders a week, and want to keep it going.
Hello, thanks for having me. My name is John Pol. I'm from Mikayla's Cafe and Catering in Santa Clara. We've been in the restaurant industry about 10 years. We've been with partners with ezCater almost 4 years now here in the South Bay.
Hi everybody, my name is Jim Rand. I'm the catering practice leader at ezCater. I've been with the company for about 2 months. Prior to that, I was the vice president of catering and off-premises for PF Chang's for 2 years, and then prior to that, for about 15 years, I was with Panera Bread. And I was both a franchisee, so I had franchises and we sold those restaurants back to the company. Then I joined the company and actually helped them set up the catering program that Panera now has. So happy to be here and looking forward to participating today and hearing your questions at the end when we get to it. And I'm sure Kate will have some good stuff for us.
Absolutely, and just to give a little bit of my history, again, I've been with ezCater for 2 years now. I did start off in the restaurant industry with the Turner Enterprises, Ted Turner's restaurant group. I was with them for about 2 years, then moved to Homegrown Hospitality in the Carolinas for about 5 years, and ended up at the PF Chang's Corporation for another 2 years. So I think we're all very passionate about food and the industry here. So we're gonna go ahead, kick off this discussion, and then after that, we wanna invite everyone to join us downstairs for some bites and cocktails and just a good old time. We'll leave some time at the end for Q&A, and that's a time we invite you all to ask questions. We do have somebody here that will be walking around with a microphone, so if you could wait to ask your question when you do have the mic, that would be greatly appreciated so we can get everyone involved. Thank you so much. So that being said, let's kick off and talk off-premises catering. So guys, number one question here that I think everyone is curious to talk about is the changing industry. What's the best way to go after this corporate catering market that accounts for $23 billion of the catering industry? Jerome, we'll start with you.
Yeah, what we find at Boulanger, a lot of it is looking at who we have and going after similar customers. I think we all know that hospitals order a ton of food, surgery centers. We spend a little bit of money on online search so that we can bring people to us, and then we really focus on expanding those customers. If we spend $4 for a click and that turns into a $250 order, and then we can get them to order once every other month, we took a small amount of money and multiplied it out exponentially. And then if they know somebody who orders, so we're investing little bits of money to bring those people to us, and then really working to build those out.
Thank you. Rich?
Oh yeah, in my experience, I call it walking through doors. The more doors you walk through, the more chance you have getting through a sale. Talking cold calling, not just getting the low hanging fruit, but the high hanging fruit too. Getting through the doors that you can't get into. Somehow get in the back door. Get into however you can get to the decision maker, make it happen, and get your order.
Excellent, John.
Yeah, for us, when we first started, it was really pretty fortunate that we have so many office buildings here. So it's literally just giving your menu to the front desks of one entire building, just going from office to office, leaving the materials with them. More often than not, the admin, the person at the front desk, is the person doing the ordering. So we were fortunate enough to start that way and repeat customers from those initial orders and wowing them. Once you get an opportunity to feed them, doing your best to give a great presentation and great food, and after they are happy with it, they just continue to order. So.
Awesome. And Jim?
Yeah, I think once you know that you want to be in the catering business and you have a menu that makes sense for your organization and to execute it, I think the key is to really just mine your existing customer base, right? I think that one of the best ways to grow your catering business is to keep track of the people that order from you, know who they are, get their phone numbers, get their email addresses, and then make sure that you do a great job, building relationships with those people, because that's where the word of mouth will come from, and that'll help you build your business as quick as anything. And I think the other suggestions that the rest of the guys made make perfect sense as well. But that's the one thing I would add to it, is really work hard from the inside and try to use your existing customers to grow your business.
Awesome. So speaking of word of mouth, what are the best practices in building word of mouth and spreading word about your business and off-premises catering? John, let's start with you.
Well, for us, honestly, I feel that we have the attitude that everybody orders catering. It just depends on how often and how much. Some people do it just during holidays, some once a month, some just during business meetings. So really, just getting the first opportunity, that's the word of mouth. Because people, if they enjoy the food, they'll say, where does this food come from? Or, oh, we should share this contact with our other departments within the organization or the company. And that's how word of mouth has grown for us. Within a larger corporation, just having one department place one order and having them share your business card or your menu with other departments, it goes viral in that way within the organization. So
those are some great points. How about for you, Rich?
I don't know word of mouth so much, but like you said, as far as collecting your information, we use a CRM. I started out with a 10-key Excel spreadsheet, but now we have a real nice professional CRM and restaurant catering system software, and that's really helped us, not miss orders and keep track of our people, and keep your build your email list. Just every email you just put it in your wallet. I put my emails in my wallet every time emails are money. Just keep your emails and build your email list.
For us, we have a mission statement at Le Boulanger, and part of that is to be the best part of every customer's day. Usually that involves just giving a free box lunch over the phone. We always call and say thank you for your order, and we find that if we treat people the way we want to be treated and really go above and beyond with the experiences, it becomes very easy when we call and ask if they know somebody else. They're very happy to share that information. So sometimes it's just simply taking the time to say thank you and ask if they know anybody else, and you'll be surprised if you're consistent with it, what you can get from it.
Jim?
Yeah, and playing off of that point that Jerome just made, I think that taking care of the person who places the order, right? If it's kind of a thankless job. I've sat through a few focus groups with pharmaceutical reps, and the one thing that they make very clear is, I am not a food orderer. I'm a pharmaceutical rep, and my job is to sell. So if you can do anything to take care of a pharmaceutical rep or an admin, buy them lunch, make sure that they feel good about their experience with you, and keep them happy, then they're going to spread that word of mouth. They're going to tell every other admin or pharmaceutical rep that they know, hey, use so-and-so because they do a great job.
Excellent. Now, I think we all know very well that things aren't going to go perfectly with every single order. So I'm curious, what is everyone doing to prevent and prepare for these situations? And is your strategy more proactive or reactive?
I'll jump in. We are trying to be very proactive. We understand things are going to happen. What we ask our stores to do is to communicate with us so that we're hearing it from them first, so we can call the customer and make it right. The last thing we want to do is call the next day for a feedback call, which we try to do with about 30% of our customers each week, and hear that something went wrong. At that point, we've embarrassed an admin, we've made their meeting go off. my team has an outline of exactly what they can do. So if something goes wrong, there's certain percentages up to including giving the whole order away. For us, that relationship is key, and we'll do what it takes to A, make it up to them, but B, to get them back in the door next time. It's very costly to bring a customer in, so if they're there, we want to keep them coming back.
Oh, proactive, reactive, both. You know, proactive by staffing right, not making mistakes, people leaving with the right order. You know, you have 8, 9, 10 orders going out at one time. It's complete, chaos. You just try to stay organized as possible. Reactive, something happens, you beg for forgiveness. You beg, and hopefully that'll get your forgiveness. They'll forgive you, and they'll reorder. And make it up, and always make it up to them somehow. Give them, a discount here, discount there, free something there.
I would say just accountability and organization, really. Having empathy for the other customer, because if that was your order, how would you feel if these mistakes were happening? And how would you want to be treated? The golden rule that applies to everything, especially when it comes to food. And we do a lot of breakfast, so a lot of brunches. So if people don't eat in the morning, it like ruins their day, right? So breakfast, especially if people don't eat early and you're the cause of that, just getting it wrong a couple of times will definitely make you change everything to make sure you're early, if not specifically on time, and that it's presented that, when people wake up, they come to the office and your meal is the first thing they see, that's a huge indicator of whether or not they order from you again, the presentation of it as well.
Absolutely. How about you, Jim?
Yeah, I think obviously you want to do everything you can up front, right? Checklists, making sure that everything's in the bag, in the order, going out the door. It's the right sandwiches, it's the right salad. It's got the wrong ingredients aren't in it, and the right ingredients are in it. Anything you can do up front, and having a whatever you want to call it, a disaster kit that you send out with your delivery drivers, so that if somebody happened to not go through the checklist and make sure that there were spoons, knives, and forks in the bag, that they've got it in the trunk of their vehicle and they don't have to come all the way back and do that. Just all those little bitty details that make a huge difference in the moment. But and then obviously do anything you can to go out of your way to recover people if you do make a mistake. I have a fun story. When I was with Panera, we had a catering facility in Minneapolis, and we really ticked off a woman who was about a $15,000 a year customer for us. And the complaint didn't get resolved the first time by the manager, and it got to me. And I can't tell you how many phone conversations I had with this woman. We sent her another order, we messed that one up, we sent her another order, there was something else wrong with it. I think you've all run into people who just like to do that. But what I did was there was no way I was going to lose this customer. So the next time I went to that market, this was Minneapolis, I flew out there from Boston. It was a normal trip for me, but I went to her office. I delivered the order. I said, look, I checked everything. I know we've got this one right. And from then on, she was my best friend. She was the best friend of our company. And I think anything you can ever do to go above and beyond like that, especially with those high value clients that you all have, and you know who they are, that just goes a long way to growing your business.
I love that. And what about strategy? As far as off-premises goes, are there certain strategies, specific partners? What is the secret sauce that's made you successful? Start with you, John.
For us, as far as we have a restaurant as well. Our catering menu is slightly different than the restaurant menu. So catering is intended to be some of our best items, most profitable for us, and quickest to make. So that alone reduces margin of error for your staff. If there's less ingredients, obviously they can make it quicker and larger quantities if you have a larger order. And then having checklists, like Jim had mentioned, really goes a long way, for us. But it really is knowing your own margins on your food and having the quickest, best items as the catering. Because if you try to offer everything, people are gonna order everything, and that can cause extreme chaos in your kitchen, and that's not fun at all.
How about you, Jim?
I think there's several things that are key. I mean, I think the first one is, again, if you're in it, be in it to win it. So make the decision, make the commitment, put the right resource against it. If you're running a brick and mortar and you're doing a lot of in-restaurant business and you really want to grow catering, you should make sure that someone has the dedicated time to grow that business for you. It'll pay for itself. It might take time, but it will ultimately pay for itself. So make sure you're dedicated to it. And put that person in place. And then what John said, you got to know your menu. You have to know what you can do and do well and can deliver with quality and make sure that it upholds the reputation of who you are, so that it's an extension of your brand. It's marketing for you. And I think those are the biggest ones. And then obviously operational execution and getting it right every day. And there's a lot to that, but those would be my top ones.
Rich, how about you?
I'd say our secret sauce, or the secret sauce, is establishing that relationship, knowing your customer by their first name. Making that cold call where you go in, you meet them, and they take a risk on you. These ladies are usually ladies, but maybe some guys, but they take a risk on you. They're spending a lot of money. They put a lot of trust in you, and you don't want to bum them out. Everyone's looking at that admin to come through for that event or that lunch, and they don't want to get the blame for picking a lousy place or something, So I know my people by the first name. You use their first names, and you say in your emails, you start by saying hi, their first name every time, and memorize their first names, and and that goes all the way down to your cold calling, following up, to turning them to years-long customers.
And Jerome, what's working at Le Boulanger?
Being family owned and operated, we really try to get that to flow through everything we do. I look at everybody within our organization as a client as well, and I try to treat them extremely well in hopes that that's how they'll treat our customers. It's very important for us to make sure that everybody has a great experience, because that's really how we're getting people to come back. We were lucky enough to feed 400 people breakfast for an event that Shutterfly had at the Fox Theater in Redwood City on Wednesday. And before we walked away, they added a 10% gratuity, which was huge, and they gave us the next order for September. We didn't even have to ask for it, and that's the level of relationship that if you can get there to where they're asking you to come back, you're doing it right. And that to us is the key, that being family owned and operated, our call center, it's 4 people, and those 4 people are based here in Sunnyvale. We're local, and we're part of the community. We're not somewhere else. We're here with you. We want to win with you, and if you win, we get more sales, and we're happy.
Awesome. Now, we've seen everything from notebooks to Excel sheets to advanced CRMs and POS systems. So my question is, what kind of software do you need, use, or recommend? And what opportunities or challenges do you see with that software? And Rich, I'm actually going to start with you because you had mentioned your CRM system earlier.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's invaluable. I mean, like I said, when I first started, I started with a 10-key and just an Excel spreadsheet. Now we're using that, the CRM, and it keeps track of your customers. It helps you remember them, and it eliminates mistakes. Oh my God, and how working hand in hand with the CRM, your calendar, and your customer, and you get busy. You're going to need that. How that CRM deposits stuff into your calendar automatically. Every time you get an order, you're making an order, and it's just depositing right into your calendar. And that working in tandem, between the CRM and the email, it's just no other way to do it.
Jerome.
What was the name of the CRM that you were using?
We use Restaurant Catering Systems.
Restaurant Catering Systems. Okay.
RCS.
Yeah. Great, thanks.
At NOAA's, we started with writing orders by hand 12 years ago and faxing those to stores, and then we emailed stuff, and then it was Excel, then it was Access. We used QuickBooks for a while. So if it's out there, we've tried it. Currently, we're working with Monkey Media, who has a catering-specific software. We find a lot of value in it, that it tells us if someone hasn't ordered in 60 days, we can view all of our orders by date. We have 11 locations which offer catering, so we'll enter an order and it goes straight to that store, gives them a pack slip and the invoice, and It really is a fully fleshed out system. There's some opportunities with it. Sometimes sortability isn't there, and I think there are things that they're working to improve. I definitely think it gives us an edge. If you don't have something in place, you definitely want to look at finding a way to organize yourself and to mark down the communications you have with your customers, especially if there's more than one person interacting with it. My team of 6, sometimes we're stepping on each other's toes a little bit, but since we're tasking things, it's much easier to communicate within it.
Thank you. How about you, John? Are you guys using any specific software?
We're actually also using restaurant catering systems. I guess the challenge for us is we also work with other third parties. So it's juggling 4 or 5 different systems together at the same time, because you might have similar times and dates for deliveries, and if they overlap, that can be challenging. But each third-party system is actually very intuitive. ezCater is actually probably one of the best, really. But they have reminders that you have an order, or if there's a change, you always get these text reminders and email reminders. So RCS doesn't have that, but that definitely helps, because if you have so many that, especially on a specific day and time, having those reminders definitely helps us stay on track, because you might confuse that with a different day or a different week, because sometimes they come quickly at the same time, so that definitely helps. But as far as one system, nobody's done that yet, so I don't know if ezCater is open to that, but that would definitely help if you could combine all the third parties together in one system. That would be ideal. I mean, that's kind of where
just buy them all out
currently.
and combine them. And,
That'd be like herding cats.
Yeah, it would be a lot easier though if we could do that. But
I don't know if this is where you cue me in, but we do have some exciting things happening at ezCater, which we'll discuss later. In the meantime, Jim, I'm going to have you go ahead and answer for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so a couple of things. Panera, we did an integration with Salesforce.com. Wouldn't recommend any of you do that. It's fairly expensive, and it took a long time, but it actually worked really well, because obviously we know the value of having a CRM. When I went to PF Chang's, they had nothing. They didn't even have a catering program, and we actually did an agreement with Monkey Media, so I'm familiar with Monkey's product. It's great to hear that there's something called restaurant catering services, so interested in looking into what they do and seeing what they do. But yeah, with ezCater, we're as part of our Easy Manage platform, the back end that you guys use now, the admin platform. We're actually working. It's part of my role here. Part of my job in coming on board is actually to help our organization help you by putting the kind of tools into place that are going to make it easier. And one of those would be to create a CRM that allows you not only to have your ezCater orders in there, but orders from other platforms as well. So don't hold your breath. We're working on it. It's a lot of work, but it's definitely something that we want to bring to all of our customers down the road.
Excellent. Now, while we're talking about operations, can you tell us a little bit about your teams? Whether you're a one-man shop or you have a regional or national sales team, what is it that's going on amongst the team that's benefiting your business?
I would say for us, once again, we're just Bay Area based. There's 11 locations that do catering, 12 locations overall. For us, it's really having our vision aligned. We came up with a game plan at the end of last year, metrics that we're going to do all year, different email blasts, we're going to do coupons, and everybody's aligned and on the same page. And by the week, by the month, by the quarter, we know what kind of customers we're going after, we know who the targets are, we know how many calls we want to make. When you have that level of focus, it becomes very easy to obtain your goals. And in addition, our operations team, one of them is sitting in the front row over here. We sit every Monday and we talk about all the opportunities, which are code reds, what went wrong, what can we do better. We have the store managers, they get this information daily. It really is just making sure everybody's on the same page and heading in the same direction. That's working for us.
Excellent. John, I'll have you.
Yeah, I would say the same, actually. We have 3 core people that handle just catering. One's a kitchen manager, catering manager, and then one's kind of jack of all trades, including a driver. But we're a family-owned business, so we are rather small, but we do a significant amount of catering in our restaurant, and we have a large kitchen, so everything's organized not only for the restaurant, but for catering. So everything's organized to be streamlined, to make orders quicker, larger orders we're able to handle as well. So for us, it was setting up our kitchen properly. If it's not set up properly, you can never get those large orders or be able to streamline catering. it just makes it extremely hard. So just to anticipate the growth and the stress that you will most likely have in the kitchen, I think that was most key for us, for our team to understand that, and for them to be vocal about their role during the process of catering, so that we can get their feedback on what would make their job easier. Also, just having that type of open dialogue, it really helps.
Excellent. How about you, Rich?
SliderBar, our challenges with that, we're always expanding. It's clicking, the orders are flowing in, expanding and meeting the demand with the staffing. Staffing, huge challenge. I'd say that's probably one of our biggest challenges. I was in there I was up 5:30 this morning making sliders. So in that regard, you're crazy. If you want to get into this, we're all crazy. So.
All right. How about you, Jim?
I mentioned it earlier. I think you always have to have somebody that's dedicated. It may not be full time. It may not be 40 or 50 or 100 hours a week, depending how much business you have. But there should be somebody in the restaurant who owns it, if it's not the owner themselves, right? So that someone can be accountable for it. I think, John, you mentioned the word accountability before, and that has a passion for it, that really loves to get into it. And I think equally, you got to have an equal balance of somebody who can go out and build relationships. You had mentioned that earlier about how important the relationships are, and then somebody who can make sure that you can produce and get the food out of the kitchen and make sure that you're organized. And I think that's how you start to divvy it up. And as you get bigger, then you have, if you have multiple locations and multiple restaurants, then you always have the ability to have salespeople that are out there in the field selling, and you can have operation support that goes out and supports catering. But that's really for the larger scale.
And on that larger scale, in such a big organization, how do you keep the teams aligned on their sales and marketing goals and plans?
Lots of communication, lots of conversations. It's it's on what I found, at least on the catering team, at least the folks who are dedicated to catering, be they a salesperson or a catering person, they're generally always on the same page. In a larger organization, the folks that aren't always on the same page are the actual the general managers of the restaurants or the district managers, who don't see this as a huge part of their business, and it's kind of like, oh, catering, oh, that's a pain in my you-know-what, and I don't want to deal with it. Right. So that's where a lot of the communication takes place, to make sure that the local leadership is really supportive of the teams that are out selling and making the food.
And Jerome, do you have anything to add to that?
My whole Monday is just meetings at this point. I start off with my desk management team, and we talk about the opportunities and what they did great, because we measure our metrics and how many calls they do. Then I go with my sales managers, and we meet on a topic, and then I make calls with them for a couple hours. Find it very important to stay connected and show them that I'm not asking them to do anything I wouldn't do. And then I meet with my operations team in the afternoon, and we go over all the things going on. It's just communicating, over-communicating. We do a weekly review that goes out to all of our locations. Here are the great things that happen with catering. Here are a couple of pictures of some great setups. We really try to keep it front of mind and show those best practices so that people buy into it.
Great. Now, what's trending in San Jose right now, and how can restaurants keep up with the rising costs of doing business and keeping up with those trends specifically in this area?
Feels like 100% of the people who order need all vegan food all the time now. So we're looking at opportunities to enhance our menu and have different offerings. Labor is very tough. We are not immune to the conversation that it's hard to bring people in, and quality people. For us, the biggest opportunity is drivers. We want a majority of our orders to be done in-house, and right now we're not exactly where we want to be. But it's tough. We're competing with Uber and DoorDash, and these drivers can turn on when they want to work and turn off. So how do we compete with that? There's only so much we can pay. We all know what our bottom line is, and you can't overdo that, which my ops team tells me all the time. But we also need to be competitive, and we want the right people going out. I find that a driver is often the first and only physical contact someone might have with us. If they place their order online and we push it through, that driver is the full representation of our brand, and we have to get that right, but they're costly.
Rich?
So what's going on in San Jose, what's going on in the Silicon Valley is, like I said before, make time to, get out there. We call it canvas. Get out there and canvas. You're going to get really busy, and you're going to say, well, I can't go do it, but you got to go do it. Advertise, because it's hot out there right now. If you ask me, then you got to strike now.
Excellent. John?
I would agree with the vegan comment. I think everyone's vegan, dietary restrictions, dairy-free, gluten-free, every office, I feel like that. So we definitely have expanded our menu to cater to those individuals and those different types of offices. But also, I would say build your own bars are really popular for us, where people can build their own type of burger. Maybe somebody doesn't like cheese or doesn't like certain condiments. It's better to have a build your own type of style bar as opposed to pre-made sandwiches. So for us, we do all types of things like that, like breakfast taco bars. We do slider bars also, and burger bars. But that's been really popular, for people to create their own. So it feels like it's customized to the type of meal they want,
And Jim, I suppose on a more nationwide scale, the trends that you've heard about recently in the industry.
Yeah, I think for the last several years, it's all, we touched on it already. So it's technology, it's ease of use, right? So the technology provides the ease of use. It's about mass customization. Can I change this, put this on, take this off? And it's about health. Primarily, those are the four biggest trends that are driving a lot of what's going on in this business today. And so any way that you can take advantage of or respond to all four of those things will certainly be helpful to you. But I would absolutely agree with you that the marketplace is so hot right now. There's so much business out there. Kate, you said it earlier. In business catering alone in the U.S., it's a $22 billion with a B market. And the social side of it's another $35 billion. It's a $58 billion market. There's so much business out there to be had. I think it's much more about how do you figure out how to handle it than it is even to figure out how to go out and get it. Certainly, the staffing concerns are huge because you got to have people to execute. So I don't want to make light of that, but those are the four big trends I think that are driving a lot of what's going on.
Excellent. Yeah, this is super. So what about delivery now? Jerome, you mentioned delivery, and it's a topic that we do have to discuss because it's huge now. It's a big part of doing business nowadays. So do you prefer to do your delivery in-house, or are you outsourcing using third parties? And what does the payment structure look like? How is it affecting your business?
We try to do as many deliveries as we can in-house. There are certain dollar amount deliveries that we will never put in somebody else's hands, so we do have some thresholds internally that we stick with. We do use a third-party service, and there are times where I think that makes all the sense in the world. Same-day orders, because you don't want to throw off what's going on in the store. Treat it as a pickup. Someone can come and grab it. Anything after a certain time in the day, because our teams start very early, at sometimes as early as 2 a.m. It's tough to ask someone to stay until 3 o'clock to deliver a yogurt bar. So there are times where I think it makes sense to outsource some of that. I would say whenever possible to have the drivers internally. I think they're going to treat the product better. One of our touch points is the driver should be going over the order, and there are times where we drop the ball and we forget something, but they catch it and they say, I'll make it right, and they go back and get it. And although we messed up, we recovered, and that's huge. So I'm a big proponent of having the drivers in-house and training them and treating them well, because they'll treat your customers well.
Rich?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I would, last resort is third party. They're not going to care about your orders. They're going to be late. They might eat the food. Who knows what they're going to do?
Sounds like there's a story there.
But not only that, it goes back to like what I said earlier. These ladies trust you, and establishing that relationship. Your people are cool. You're cool. You want to go in there and meet them, get acquainted, and that's your opportunity also to get in that door. And if it's a big building, that's your opportunity to get into that building and canvass that building too, because there's security everywhere. So kill two birds with one stone. Get out there, canvass, and do your deliveries at the same time.
I would agree also that you would definitely want to keep it in house if you can. But for us, like I said, we're a single location operation, so we do use third parties quite a bit. And the way we've been able to utilize them and not really have bad feedback from our clients is we try to document the process. So if we have similar orders, we'll require them to take a picture, or maybe we'll personally handle the order, take a picture of how it's set up, and require that they take a picture after the delivery is completed. So that's one way that we try to keep the quality of the setup, as opposed to just, where's a table, and they just leave it on the table and leave. Also having little things like tablecloths, like we use disposable tablecloths, we think that helps with the presentation. If you put a tablecloth down and then put your meal on top of it, just that little touch really helps the presentation, even for them as cleanup. So when they're finished, instead of having to wipe down the table, they just roll up the tablecloth and toss it. So little things like that, like I said, documenting the process. For us, we've been hands-on in the beginning doing the deliveries, so we know the process ourselves. So we're able to document it, that they have a checklist of everything they need to do on the delivery. It's hard using third parties, we try to request frequent drivers that we've used before that we're happy with. And in our area, we've actually been successful with that because we have a lot of repeat business at the same times and the same days. So those same drivers take the same orders. And then giving poor feedback to drivers who do poorly. We get bad feedback from the client, we call the third party and say, we request that they don't take any more deliveries, So there is a fine line, but like everyone's speaking of, the Bay Area is hot right now for orders. So we just don't have an on-call driver at all times, part of our staff that can do it. And if we pull them from the restaurant, if the restaurant busy, then you're balancing, your focus of the business. So we actually are trying to work with third parties to make them take care of a significant amount of ours. But larger orders and more close relationships that we have with some of our clients, we're more hands-on with those. But there's just so many orders sometimes that you have to use third parties. It doesn't make sense to pull your own staff to do it. So we do use it, and we try our best to help them be equipped to do their job properly the way that fits our business. So like I said, we give them a sheet that has a layout of how they're supposed to set up the burger bar, and then a picture on the sheet of how it should look. So that's what we do. We give that with the delivery sheet so that they know what to do. There is no excuse for not setting it up properly.
Sounds like a great way to handle that. Jim, I'll let you go
I was
ahead.
going to say, I think those are great best practices that you're describing, and I agree with you guys that I'm old school, so I want my people to deliver it, right? You only have a few touch points, and delivery is a large part of the touch point in the relationship with that client, and it needs to go well for you to maintain that business. One thing I'll just add is that at ezCater, we are working right now to vet third-party delivery companies, courier services specifically, not the big marketplace companies that many of you are very familiar with, because we're actually trying to find local couriers who are in the business of doing delivery and partnering with them and then making them available through ezCater so that you can choose to use that delivery company, and then whatever you collect will be a straight pass-through, essentially offsetting their cost. So we've established relationships in about 15 to 18 cities around the country, and we are actively working to establish relationships in other cities around the country on behalf of our clients. So just wanted to let you know that.
Could I add one thing? I have lots of thoughts.
Of course.
One of the things I would strongly urge you guys to do is to know your customers, know your numbers. I can tell you as I sit here that someone spends $2,000 or less with us. We appreciate them, but they're a lower tier customer for us. Between $2,000 and $10,000, mid-range, anybody $10,000 more, it's a great customer for us. Tomorrow I have one of our catering vans parked at my house. I'm going to help with a 350 box lunch order. I want them to know that we're there and that connection. So I would say make sure you're going out on some of these, especially the larger ones, and show them that you're there and you care. Not a lot of people are doing that, and if you do that, you're going to put yourself ahead of the pack.
Excellent, that's a great point. Now, John, you actually talked a little bit about packaging, so I'm going to turn it over to that. How do you invest in packaging, and what's been most successful? We see, everything from lunch boxes and platters, hot bags, stickers. What's working?
I had mentioned tablecloth. That little thing is a big thing, actually, I think, because sometimes they don't anticipate where they're going to set up their meal. They'll say, just put it on this table. And having a tablecloth and having the proper utensils for the order, not just random utensils that you have that will just be a part of the order. So having it well thought out, specific, and having extra utensils and plates and napkins for them so that they don't feel like, we have to use our own or we have to send somebody out to go to purchase those items. Once again, it's being part of the process for us in the beginning and with frequent clients that we have everything available for them. And then also how it's set up. That's why we take pictures, because this is how to properly set up an order, and that's going to wow your client because, you take that picture so that they see, this goes here or this goes there. And I think it stands out, from if they order catering from other places, and they're not happy with the presentation. Sometimes the food's great, but if the presentation's not great, sometimes they don't remember. They'll just say, the food was good, but it was messy, or it was didn't look appetizing, So that's part of the catering. I think that is your branding, is how it's set up, how it looks, and then how it tastes, of course. I think that's why these sites like Instagram and these platforms are so popular, is because we look at what we eat, and even though sometimes it doesn't taste like what it looks like, ideally that's part of the whole experience of eating, So.
Sure, Rich. What about you? What are you guys doing?
We're using the generic packaging. We're not there yet to where we're doing the custom packaging, but we have good stuff. Just to touch on what John said, it is part of the service, very important part of the service to set it up. To be competent when you get there, take ownership. You just don't want to walk in the place and and you want to appear like you know what you're doing, because you do know what you're doing. And that's part of these ladies trust in you. They got a lot of fish to fry. They don't want to worry about the stupid lunch being set up. They just want someone to come in, take care of it, and no questions. Essentially, if you go in and out. Of course, you're saying hi and all that, but there's not really anything they have to go out of their way to help you. You ask if you can do anything else, and you leave. And that's one thing I always do. I check out with them. As I'm saying hi, anything else I can do for you? And they usually say no, and we leave.
I would say you're trying to make them look good in front of their boss, basically, and the entire company they work for. I mean, they're responsible for that. And if the less they do and the more credit they get, they're going to love you for that. So that's huge, and I agree with that.
I think I would add to never be satisfied with where you are. Always ask, why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? If there's not a good answer, maybe look at other options. Right now, if our box lunches, we put in a fork, we put in a knife, we put in a napkin. Well, they have packets that all comes together, and you could put that in. How much time does that save? We also order food from what we think are our best competitors or our main competitors, and we see how they set up. We watch their setup. It's very important to me that one of our drivers can go in and everything's boxed in a way where they can put it down, open it up, and walk away if they need to. I don't want them fumbling with things or putting things out. We want it to be as smooth as possible. You guys are absolutely right. We want the experience to be very clean, very easy for the customer. And to the third party point, we want something that we could hand to somebody, and no matter what, we feel like they could probably get it right if needed.
Excellent. Jim, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just a couple quick things. I would say that if you're in the process of building a catering menu or you're looking at vamping your catering menu, I would call on your distributor. All right, get lots of samples, start looking at what works best with your product, and look at your competitors and see what they're doing. There's a lot out there today. I think that the whole push towards off-premises and catering and all the play that it's getting in the restaurant media specifically is starting to put some pressure on the packaging manufacturers, and we're going to help put some more pressure on them. It's a kind of a personal crusade for me. So I've been doing this for a long time and been pushing on manufacturers to get better at what they do so that we can serve hot food hot and cold food cold and really keep things the way they need to be. So I would use those two avenues at least to go after it. And then, again, I think we mentioned yesterday we did an ezChat, and I think one of the things we brought up is that there are some things out there you can do with apps and with some of the new printing technology where you can print your own stickers and put it on generic packaging and at least give yourself some branding. Somebody was telling the story yesterday, I think it was Michelle. We have different caterers delivered to our office every week. We have a office lunch, and we order from the people who use us. And a lot of times the food will come and everybody's eating and it's like really good, and they're like, whose food is this? Because there's no labeling on it whatsoever. So anything you can even do, just the simplest stuff, to make sure that you've got it labeled with your brand name on it, it's well worth it. You don't have to pay for the pretty branded packaging, but putting a sticker on it or something like that is always helpful.
Thank you so much. I think we have time for maybe one more question up here. So finally, how has off-premises evolved over the years, and how have you and your staff adapted to the changes? Let's start with John.
I would say it's changed significantly with technology. I mean, I was having a conversation with one of your staff earlier about that, because when we first started, we were going to hotels and leaving flyers and things like that. And now with all this technology and all these third-party startups, especially in our area, I think it's a great time to be a restaurant owner, honestly, or to be in the industry in general. With the off-premises, we're bringing all types of quality food to offices. If you want to eat a specific type of cuisine, you would have to drive out of your way, and especially for the team to do that, to go out of your way to go there or to have them deliver. Maybe they don't deliver. So with these third parties and these new technologies and startups all together, I think it's a great time, and I think off-premises catering it's huge right now, especially for companies, because they don't want their staff to leave. So it's another way of keeping them there and getting them, great meals, delivered to their offices. So,
Jerome.
Yeah, it really is an exciting time. Our team does about $3.5 million a year in catering, and there are weeks where we're up 60% at this point. There's just so much potential out there that there aren't enough hours in the day to call people and to check in. I would say the technology has definitely changed things. We saw when the market collapsed in 2008, a lot of people consolidated jobs and took on a ton of roles, and that never really went away. So people are juggling so many different things. Truly, if you can be the easiest part of their day and you can make it happen for them with little fuss, they'll keep going back to you. So I think it's just making sure that, as we said earlier, know what those needs are, the dietary restrictions, what people are looking for. Listen to your customers. They'll tell you what they want, and if you can accommodate without bending too far, you're in good shape at this point.
Thank you. And Rich?
Yeah, the tech scene for sure. Like I mentioned, I started from, there's the 10 key, but as time progressed, I finally got into Facebook, I got into Cisco, I got into Apple, I got into Google. And now I think at about 3 of those companies I just mentioned were on the short list, and that took a couple of years at least. So, hang in there. You got to persevere, and like keeping that in-house thing. If you're going to Google or Cisco or whatever, do that yourself. It doesn't matter the time it takes or the size of the order, because you can be removed from that list just like that. So, just persevere.
Thank you. And final thoughts, Jim?
Yeah, I think everything these guys said is right on. I would say that the other thing that's really changed is that a lot of these big companies, and you just mentioned a bunch of them, Rich, they are paying us to keep their teams happy. They don't want people leaving the building. They want to feed them. They want to give the next perk that's better than the company next door so that they can attract the best talent. And that's awesome for us. That's one of the things that's fueling the growth of what we're doing, especially, you know, in areas, in high-tech areas like you have here in the Valley. It's just amazing. And we should take every advantage of it that we can.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for bringing a wealth of knowledge to the panel here. I'm sure everyone has plenty of questions here, so we're going to turn it over to the audience.
How much do you guys spend on average in regards to marketing, and how do you target your market to get your customers?
Give me 1 second just so we can get that question again here.
Thank you. How much do you guys spend on marketing on average, and how do you target the market to attract the customers that you're looking for?
We're a little unique in that we have a partnership with the 49ers, which is awesome. I got to have lunch with them today. My wife hates it. I love it so much. So we get some perks from that. Direct market spend online, we use Bing Search right now, and we have $3,500 a month or so budgeted. And I can track that we get $16 to $18 back for each dollar we spend, so it's very easy to see the return on investment. How much we spend, or? Bing? We found that one to be the more fruitful of the ones that were out there. And then we have, really we don't have a budget for the promos that we do, but we send a ton of food out. I believe that the best way to get a customer is to get some of your food in front of them. If it's good, they'll order from you. We just do that as much as possible. I shut down the lights.
Closing time. Yeah. Last call.
We're all used to this. We keep the show going. That's all right. Anyone else want to jump in on that question?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we work with quite a few third-party companies. And honestly, we don't personally do a lot of marketing. I mean, RCS has a system where they send out letters and emails and things like that. But we look at our third-party partners as our marketing team because we don't hire a lot of staff in-house. And the commission or the percentage that they take, we feel that is our budget for marketing. You know.
Excellent, thank you. Next question.
Just a quick interruption. If you guys have a booth downstairs and you're a caterer, if you don't mind heading down there now, we're gonna open the doors, so thanks. All right, who's next?
Thank you.
Oh, hi there. I have a question. Well, let's say we have a single store. When we first started, we don't have the capital to do the marketing and advertising. I mean, do you guys start it with prospecting, cold calling those? Or if so, how do you get your resources? Do you buy the list, or you just, go through the yellow?
I'd say cold calling in person. Cold calling in person, getting the cards, and has been more effective than buying email lists. Cold calling over the phone. Like I said, it's so hot out there right now. I mean, you'll go to 20 places. I guarantee you'll get a sale.
Or you just cold visit,
go
on the
right
phone.
in there. Go right through that door. Cold call it. I bet you hit 20 places, you'll get 1 or 2 sales.
I see.
And do you have a brick and mortar restaurant? Do you have a restaurant that people are coming into every day?
Yeah.
Yeah, so right there you've got a gold mine, right? So, use the old fishbowl technique, right? Put a fishbowl out, collect business cards, do a prize drawing, do any of those kind of things that you can. If you have a dining room and people are sitting down to eat, walk around, introduce yourself. Hey, if you see somebody in a more of a business attire, somebody's got a name tag on, anything like that, I go up to them and say, how you doing? Hey, by the way, I don't know if you know we cater. Here's what we can do for you. Anything you can do.
I see.
Yeah, so for me, we're a single location operation as well. What I would say to do is what we did. I'm giving you my own advice that we took, which is if you know how to take good pictures or photos of your food, is to hire a photographer to take a picture of all your best meals of your catering, and then make a colorful catering menu. So when people order your catering, they'll see, oh wow, this looks great. This is what I expect when I order from you, as opposed to just black and white, printed menu with no pictures. So that alone, that is your sales team. And if you go to these different offices, you just leave that with each person at the counter or the admin at all these different office buildings. That is doing your sales for you, because they'll visually see what your food is like. And if you have a website, they'll go to your website to see if you have other pictures or other offerings. And those are the two things that I would say is make sure you have a very vibrant and a colorful website, and accompany that with a consistent menu that matches your website. And not everyone's a great salesman. You can't just go up and pitch your restaurant. It's not as easy as you would think. But that piece of paper, your menu, that can do the sales for you. That's the same within your restaurant as well.
And I think talking to the people that come into your restaurant, hey, where do you work? Do you guys bring in food? That simple question, oh yeah, we bring in food every Friday. Oh, who orders? I'll bring some food. Sometimes it's just the simplest thing. I would also say networking, going to networking events, talking to people in the room, because what you do may not be what somebody else does. I have a couple catering partners that if the order isn't right for us or it's a little bit outside of our area, I'll refer them, and then they refer stuff to us. So I think it's very important to network. And then at networking events, we met someone a few weeks ago at one that worked for a university, and then there was a teacher hiring event, and then we were in a room with 35 school districts that we were allowed to do a little pitch to. And all that from just one conversation that Abby had with a young lady in a room at one point. There are a lot of ways to do it where you don't have to spend any money to get going, for sure.
That's it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Question is, thank you. My question is, well, actually, I completely, absolutely agree with all what been said right now so far. It's a good business practices, and well, I was practicing that for quite some time right now. I started when there was no internet and not even a computer. Computer actually were the size of that box. Many years ago, I've done all of the above, whatever you just said, and so on. I agree with that. It's really good, really nice. But I like challenges, and I know new waves coming up right now. Actually, it's already all the way up. It's a vegan food. Not just a vegan, quite a few vegan recipes in different restaurants. You guys presented over here that you going towards that direction, and you're trying to accommodate customers with all these little things. No, no dairy, no GMO, and all that stuff, all that good stuff. But I went one step up. I prepare only raw food, raw vegan food, no cooking at all. It works good, really good. I have quite a few customers, but not as good as I anticipated to have. So my question to you, for example, you got to the point that, like I do, you got some exotic food, you want to push it through the market. Market is hot. I know in a year, maybe less than that, this market will be all the way up. It's already up and running. And I started about 6 months ago. From zero, I went all the way up to the top. But top is not always top you want it. So what's your suggestion beside whatever being said right now so far? I've done it all from A to Z. I had brick and mortar, 2 brick and mortars in Europe, 1 brick and mortar in Barcelona. I have 2 food trucks right now, a couple kitchens. I feel that food trucks would do way better to deliver food directly to the technology companies and so on, and it does. But one more thing, one piece of information I want to hear from you. What would you do to push it through? What would you do to get to this market? What would you do to make people believe that this food is a future?
Well, I would say I don't think currently as many people are educated on raw food,
Exactly.
And I would say, when we were talking about vegan food or offering vegan, we also offer meat. So being able to accommodate some people that like meat still and some people that only eat vegan. So for raw food, I would say you have to educate. You have to provide some type of education to some of your clients that may not see the benefits in it, because some people are timid about eating raw food because, they're just not educated on the value for them. So I would say you would have to educate them within your menu that you offer, or online or on your website. It should all be about educating people on raw food. Because you may assume they already know, but I would say a significant amount of people do not, especially in large companies.
Yes, 9 out of 10 don't. Of course, I understand that. My website does it for me. It's popping up another one, and I do get together. I do quite a few classes teaching people how to eat, what to eat, why to eat, and why is it good, why is it bad, and so on. But still, that's steps. That's baby steps. All right, I need business. I'm used to pretty good scale business. I'm not used to be under 10 grand a month, so it's kind of a low for me. Any suggestions? Any more? That's all of that.
Are you doing a lot of social media? Are you
Excuse
doing
me?
a lot of social media, like Instagram, Facebook, things like that?
Yes, I do. I just started new website coming out because I had to scrape my old website, everything I had before. I started a new one coming up in about a week. I have one that I built myself, but that is just, I'm not a programmer. It's just educational website, just informational. That's
I
it.
would say that. I would say Instagram, Facebook videos. You
Yeah,
have
it's
to
there.
educate the people.
It's there.
Those types of platforms would help you, I think. You may not see results right away, but over time, if you're doing it consistently over months and years, that content will collectively get bigger and it'll reach more people. And I think that's an archive you have to build up, you know.
And the only thing I was going to add, and I don't know if you may have been doing this already, but I'd look to network with other companies and businesses who specifically are focusing on the same thing that you're doing, and see how you can partner with them in a way that's mutually beneficial.
If you can name one.
I'm not educated in the world
I
of
did
raw
so-
food or vegan, so
I did
I
so
can't-
thorough research, I didn't find anybody. I found one food truck in New York and one in Los Angeles. That's it.
I think he might be referring to maybe going to places that have that lifestyle, yoga places, fitness places that are looking into the raw business.
I'm there.
for you. So I think that's probably why
I'm there.
things like that.
I think the one thing I'd offer you, this event downstairs, we got a table for free, and we're going to get in front of 200 people with our product, and we have time to educate them, and they're coming to us, so we're not tracking them down, we're not inconveniencing them with a call. Partner with Chambers of Commerce. We have an admin event coming up, I think in a month, where we're giving food for 50 people, and we get a table where we're in a room with 200 admins for 2 hours, and we get to give them menus and talk to them. There's so many opportunities if you're willing to give samples. There's an expo at the convention center coming up in a couple months. Same thing. They're giving us a free table if we're willing to give 300 samples of something. Costs us $88. So once again, there are things that you can do if you tap the right channels. I would argue get in front of as many people as you can, because you have to educate them. And I think if your food is great, it sounds like you're passionate about it, which is good. I think you get in front of them for a few seconds would do a world of difference for you.
And for the sake of time, I'm just going to encourage you to continue this conversation. This is what these events are for, to network, to meet other caterers, see what's going on and what's out there. That being said, thank you everyone so much for joining us. I think the best part of these events is finally getting to put a face to the names that we've been working with over the years. A couple things I do want to mention. ezCater is working on some exciting things. Find anyone in a green t-shirt tonight, ask questions. Easy Manage being the first. Your caterer portal is getting an upgrade. We're offering a lot of new features that are going to help grow your business. Second feature being ezCater Private Store or Private Storefront. That's going to be a way for you to get more orders at a lower commission directly from your own website. An online ordering solution. Ask us questions. It's going to help you grow your business. That being said, thank you everyone again for joining us tonight, and please come downstairs, join us, and let's eat, drink, and be merry.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.